This month's podcast is about engaging your audience and how to get the best out of qualified leads. If you use lead generation, surveys, go to trade shows or events, have microsites, have communications through newsletters or leaflets or email blasts, we would like to show you how we actually handle audience engagement through the use of technology. I've always been amazed at the statistic that is out there for direct marketing that between 1 and 3% is the average response rate that you would expect from a campaign. So when I started to get involved with the platform that we currently use, it was very important that we started to look at how do we increase those figures from 1 to 3%. And we've been getting on a consistent basis, on average, between 18 and 20% response rate. So we would like to explain how we get there and how we get those 20% response rates. We actually started to look at the way that the user actually interacts with direct marketing. And one of the things that was crucial was that you actually treated the recipient of the mail piece as a person. You know, it's better to have something personalized rather than having something, say, to the current occupier. And so what we did was we combined traditional and with technology. And so we created an intriguing invitation, either through email or through direct mail, sometimes with a dimensional piece. And then what we did was we transitioned them onto a personalized microsite that actually gave us those outstanding results. So let's look at the process that we go through. Well, step one, we have to initiate contact. You can start with the conventional media, like we just said, either through email, through direct mail, through advertising, through billboards, radio, or whatever. And I think what's important to see on this slide is the visitor experience. As you can imagine, when somebody first interacts with something that they receive or they see, their understanding may be low because they don't know what actually the message is. Their trust is lower because they may not know the brand, and their candor, do I want to give information up about myself again, is low. So you've got to experience this and sort of understand that it's in human nature to really be a little bit wary before actually going all out. Now, the aim of getting the person to go from the conventional media, either through direct marketing, through your advertising, your trade show, or whatever the way that you've engaged with this person, is to transition them to our technology, to take them through to a microsite, which actually starts to identify them, personalize the messaging that they're receiving, and then begin that interaction and that dialogue. You may do this through either a pre-identified, you may have a list that you may have, and you load it into the database, and then you actually know the person's name before you start to interact with them on the microsite. Or if you're using a billboard, radio, or trade show, you may want to engage with that audience by using a keyword, by enticing them to actually go on to the experience and then build their trust from there. And as you can see through the visitor experience graph, you can see that the understanding is increasing because they're actually receiving a message and it's relevant to them. Their trust is actually starting to build because they're starting to understand what you're trying to talk to them about, and their willingness of actually telling you a little bit more about themselves increases as well. Now, step 3 is to determine the characteristics and the interests of your visitor. It's actually taking a shadow and turning them into a profile. Because when somebody visits a website, you do not know anything about them unless they tell you about them themselves via a form or whatever. But what our microsites do is actually start to build relevant information, and as they move through the experience, they're learning about the topics that they're actually interested in because we're serving up relevant information. So we interact with them and learn from the visitor and find out what they care about. And that's very important, because if we can identify this and predetermine and do this discovery phase up front, then as you can see, the visitor experience, again, the understanding increases, the trust increases, and then the information that they will give back to you is increased tenfold. So as you get to know your visitor and you're serving up the relevant information as such, you can then start to communicate your message in a much more dynamic and interactive way. You can serve up rich media, flash animation, and really focus on the topics and the interest that that visitor is saying they want to hear more about. So again, it's all about interaction. It's building that trust. It's like being at a party where you walk into a room, you don't know anybody, but you go up and you talk to somebody straight away without even finding out any information about them. And you may find that you're talking about the football team of your choice, and they hate that football team. And you know what? That conversation will not go very far. But if you'd taken the time to have got to know that person, to have understood what their likes and dislikes were, then you may have found out that they were that football fan that you didn't really want to talk about the Eagles or the Cowboys or whoever. But the conversation becomes richer, deeper, and makes more sense. And therefore, you're going to get a better understanding, you're going to get better trust from that person, and you can build a relationship. Now, step 5 is prioritize. Prioritize and rank those site visitors based on the predefined indices or the microsite session data that we create. So what we can do is, once we've taken them through the messaging, we've taken them down a site path that is relevant to that person, then we can understand whether the visitor is low priority, medium priority, or high priority, and we want to talk to them now. So it helps us and enables us to focus our efforts where the results will yield the most. So we'll get the greatest return from concentrating our efforts on somebody that is a high priority. So we've done the pre-discovery, we've identified what they're interested in, and we can talk to them now about what they care about. In the second part of this video, we'll summarize and show how we can actually filter and segment your visitors as they come into the experience. So please click on the second part of this video and enjoy.